see it real well, but there's kind of a trail and it picks up and starts to look a little better over here. And it goes about 3/4 of a mile deep, and then it heads north down into kind of a canyon, and then you get up onto a ridge. And so we would bivvy hunt down in there, and we'd get a couple miles down in, and there was a saddle that was just phenomenal crossing point. Lots and lots of elk crossing through there. Down below it, there's tons of water and feed, but it all was sparse timber as well. And so they had a lot of cover in here, plus feed, plus water. They had all the needs, right, taken care of. And it was really good. But anytime we would run into other hunters, they were doing the same thing. They were coming in, they were using the trail because it was the easiest access to get into that stuff. And so we were running into a bunch of people down in there. And so it was later in the season, and I came in here by myself. I was like, I looked at some maps, and there's some water over here, and I wanted to check out and see what that water looked like. And I was running into elk like crazy on that deal. And that was the start of this for me. And I've never, at the time, I hadn't run into any other hunters up here. The only time we've run into people is there's a dead end logging road that connects way up in here that's overgrown. And occasionally some folks will walk in on the logging trail, but they never get off of that thing. So it's pretty much untouched. When the elk are talking really well, they will be talking in here in the morning, which is really funny to me because it's a north face. So why are they in here at that time of day? Theoretically, popular opinion would say they wouldn't be on the north face first thing in the morning. But they are. And they're also on the south side of this like crazy. And they're also out in the meadows first thing in the morning at first light. And so you just got elk all over this thing. A lot of the elk do transition from the feed through the transition zone that we're going to talk a lot about today, and where we'll run a lot of our scenarios. And then they do come up over onto this side and bed somewhere on the north facing side, but they don't have to. And we've seen them. We've been sitting the transition, and we've had bulls come 60 yards from us and bed down while we're sitting there and just hang out. We can just see them while we're sitting there and continuing to call. They're ignoring us. And we're just going to continue to sit there and cow call early on. This is like September 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Wow. But anyway, so this is just a sweet spot. You can see, there were elk tracks walking in and out where we were. There's elk tracks that come down through these. There's a bunch of new pines over here that they like to hang out in, and we'll talk about that in a minute and why they might like that stuff. But anyway, so we'll just kind of pick our way up here, and we'll talk about some of the features as we go through there on our way over to the transition zone. And the elk just seem to really like it. Not necessarily when it gets this big, but it seems like when they're in like the 1 to 6 foot height, it's letting a lot of sunlight in. So there's a lot of good food in those. And yet, kind of when they get into a certain height, it starts to offer a lot of protection for them. So I do think that they bed in this new pine stuff a lot. So anywhere where I'm driving along a road and we happen to hit new pines, or I'm looking at a map and you can tell that it's new pine because of the difference in the height and the vegetation, right? When you're looking at onyx, and it kind of almost looks like a field from onyx a lot of times.
I know that was a soft powder.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, not as mature, so it's different green. Yep. So those places just always register in my mind as like, elk could be bedding there. They could be using that. Maybe not the ones that are right next to the road, but sometimes those ones that are right next to the road, they'll go forever. Like this particular one is huge. It goes way down this face. So I think a lot of times when I come on elders, it's even though some of this looks amazing and they do bed up in here randomly, I do think they like it where it's real thick, and we're going to make more noise getting in there, coming after them. They can't necessarily see real well, but it offers shade and protection. They can stand up and feed if they want to. And so they do like the new growth, especially when it's on the smaller side. But this is getting a little big and thick, in my opinion. But then you can see, like, you can't see a lot of good vegetation for them, that they're going to eat. There's not a lot of grasses. It's just more of this. You'd see on the other side, probably, if I don't know if we'll get there or not, but there's more of this on the other side because this was heavily logged at some point. And so even though it's on the south face over there, more of the same thing, and they could bed right in that as well. So, because it gives them what they need, right? Doesn't matter which aspect it is, as long as they feel like it's cool and shady at certain parts of the day, then they may get up and bounce back and forth as well between the two. It doesn't mean that once they're on this side during the day that they're not going to get up and move. They might not, follow the shade quite as much as a mule deer, but they will absolutely get up and change positioning. If they feel too hot, they're a big critter,
Yeah.
so they might get up and they might hit water in the middle of the day, or they might go find better shade.
So, if they're in there, you just kind of know if they're in there, but
Yeah,
you don't go after.
in my opinion, that's not huntable.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's more of a location, more of a just the knowledge that, how come when I walk through there, there's always a load of elk,
Yeah.
especially when it's younger or it's just a little bit more spread out.
Mhm.
Because the thing is somehow they have a hierarchy of what they like. I guess maybe it shouldn't be a surprise. We all have a hierarchy of where we would rather hang out and relax. And so you'll see stuff up in here that just looks a lot better for relaxing, I think, than this at this point, just where the state of growth that it's in. Hey, if you hunt public land elk and you're tired of grinding through random seasons, I built the elk hunting series of ebooks for you. Most hunters don't struggle because they lack effort. They struggle because they lack a system. And that's exactly why I built the elk hunting ebook series as a complete progressive framework for Western elk hunters who are done guessing and ready to hunt with intention. Volume 1 is going to be Foundations and Reality. I reset your mindset and expose the assumptions that quietly wreck seasons. In Volume 2, Finding Elk and Understanding Pressure, you'll learn how elk actually move under pressure so you can anticipate instead of react. In Volume 3, Terrain, Wind, and Position, I break down how to use landscape and thermals to consistently create opportunities. In Volume 4, Calling, Silence, and Pressure, sound becomes a decision tool, not an impulse. In Volume 5, Bow Hunting Execution, we're talking about close range strategy so you can finish your encounters. And in Volume 6, Late Season and Post-Rut, we're talking about how elk shift after the rut and how to adapt when others quit. This is a system built for consistency. This isn't theory. It's a structured system to help you find elk, read country, and make confident decisions every season. Buy each volume individually or bundle them all to save 50% off at backboneunlimited.com.